Time for the Tesla and the Palantir weekly update, and want to start off with Tesla here on linear scale just to show you this 382 linear scale fib there at 221.26, and it spent 2 weeks in a row down there in that zone and it held. So we can see that, yeah, there still is some resistance above with the 258.15 here at the 50%. It was like a previous resistance level that it kind of broke below. So it's also just still stuck in a range. But also when we go to the log scale fib, we can identify that the 242.44 has held week over week as support, wicking below both. And also, it's really a setup like a tweezer like bottom. And when you see a tweezer bottom, they have potential to reverse and continue higher. And not only that, we can go to the moving averages right here and take a look at what price really did. And price actually closed above both the 100 and the 200 week moving average. This 100 week is at 246.01. The 200 week is at 248.41, and price closed the week at 248.71. So it spent 2 weeks in a row wicking through all of this support while both of that support has been holding. And next, I want to show you Tesla on my linear scale GAN. So linear scale GAN, we saw how price behaved ever since it broke out above the arc. It broke way out above the orange level, went to the 45-degree angle where it was a previous resistance and still was a resistance, got rejected massively, came back down, and then lost this orange level of the GAN as a support. So once that kind of confirmed it as a resistance, it came back down all the way to the blue angle where it wicked below and held that blue angle. But not only that, we can zoom in and see that this orange arc, it actually closed back above for the second week in a row. And how important is that orange arc? Well, it's very important because it was a previous resistance all the way for the previous all-time highs. So a successful back test of that is looking very, very nice. So now that a lot of the pain is already factored into the equation, it looks like it has a chance to stabilize on top of this zone, right? We do see a lot of confluence with those moving averages I just showed you with the Fibonacci level, the 242, and even with this blue angle there into the 230s. We can see there's a lot of confluence of support here. So I think we have the potential to at least stabilize in this zone before going to make its next leg higher. And with that, I want to show you the log scale GAN right here that I've been paying attention to a lot. And this angle throughout time, since January of 2023, it back tested it successfully, went up to the arc, got rejected, back to the angle, and it spent a lot of 2024 at that angle before breaking out to this green level, finally getting rejected, going back down to the angle right here below. And then after that, price essentially stabilized in that zone. So we are working in the process of getting back above this arc, so it is still kind of a resistance zone. But once this whole zone starts to flip to a support, I think it can make its way higher. And now we can turn on the Ichimoku here, and we can see that the Ichimoku cloud is right there, and it still never touched, right? And the bottom of that cloud was around 214, 213, and it never really touched, which means that it still could kind of go maybe sideways for a little bit, staying in this little zone, getting closer and closer to this cloud before it touches. And then possibly it could do something like this, right? Maybe goes up here, down, maybe climbs out of the cloud like that until it gets back up to the 350s again. So judging by this cloud and the arc up here, if it were to go to the top of the cloud and on the arc up here, that would be around 350 by maybe June. You can see June of 2025. So perhaps by summertime, we could be attempting to break this arc once again. So in the meantime, it could be a little bit of a slower recovery because this 50-week moving average is kind of going to be some resistance on the way back up. That's around 268.82. And so we could see something like this goes back up, maybe gets rejected, maybe comes back down, retests the 250s again, and then possibly climb out of the cloud like so. So based off of all the information I just showed you, I think that the potential of a bottom is already in with this tweezer bottom, with everything wicking through those support levels, even closing back above for 2 weeks in a row now, the 200-week moving average at 248.41. That leads the potential for stabilization, and it leads for the potential to continue its journey higher slowly until it really gets through one resistance level at a time. And next we have Palantir. So Palantir has been pretty textbook recently with breaking out, getting rejected around this 104.21, kind of spending a couple weeks above it and then going back below to retest the 78.13. It already wicked below while maintaining the baseline of the Ichimoku at 80.73. So just zooming in here, we can really see that it's just stuck in a range between the 80.73 and the 98.01. And that is the current range. But I think since it already successfully backtested support, also this was a previous resistance before a breakout, then it backtested that zone. So I think it has potential to continue its journey higher now and go up towards the 98, maybe even the 104. But again, nothing super exciting is going to happen until this 104.21 gets broken again as a resistance and flip back to a support. Then after that, it'll have the opportunity to continue its journey higher. And going to the log scale again here, there's even more confluence of that because the blue arc right here held as support. It wicked through earlier in the week after successfully retesting the blue level of the GAN, which was a previous resistance breakout, got rejected by the angle, and a back test of that blue level. And now we're on top of that arc again, so this has potential to even continue to build a base on top of this arc for the weeks to come in order to go back up to the high 90s, the low 100s, before trying to break out and go higher. So this chart, once again, looks very, very nice. It just needs to break back above that 104 number up here in order to get a little bit more bullish. But in the meantime, all that really matters is try to build a base on top of this arc here. And next week, that arc will be around $86, maybe $85.90 or so. Just keep stabilizing on top of there, building a base on top. And if so, then Palantir will continue its journey higher.